Welcome back YouTube. A slightly different video again today, and I'm always going to try and keep these relatively different just so it keeps it a bit more engaging for yourselves and also more engaging for me, I guess. If I keep filming very similar styles of vlogs or webinars and things like this, it gets a bit repetitive. So again, I enjoy making YouTubes and I'm just trying out different things. So this is a Q&A from my Instagram followers and clients. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and hopefully find out some stuff you didn't know. So first question on the list. Some of these are personal kind of questions like towards me. Some of them a bit more kind of open, a bit more generic, and a bit more specific towards things like training, nutrition, lifestyle, etc. So we're going to start off, I'm just going to go in chronological order to be honest, because that'll keep it easier. And we're going to start off with the first question on the list, which is past experiences when I obviously kind of used to work maybe like a 9-to-5 job on keeping on top of your foods and how to manage. So I think with this one, it's again, preparation, looking at your week in advance and knowing exactly what you've got on. Yeah, I find it very rare that, and again, this will happen sometimes for some people, but it's going to be very rare that you don't know what's going to be going on within your week. Albeit sometimes things will crop up out of the blue, which are unplanned, but as long as you've got some structure and pre-planning with things like your foods way in advance, it's going to make life a lot easier for you. So back in the day when I worked at Tesco, when I worked at the Crocky Trail, when I used to work at my mum's place, any job that I've had in the past really, I've always meal prepped, and I would just make sure I had the foods in firstly. So a food shop would be the first thing that you need to do, and you know what you need to buy. Second of all is how long are you in work for? How many meals do you need to take for work or uni or whatever it is that's kind of keeping you away from the kitchen basically. And then how can we actually take these foods with us? So I was a bit of a weirdo, I don't really care, but I used to have quite a big freeze bag or cool bag, whatever you want to call it, with ice packs in, which kept some foods fresh, some foods I could obviously reheat. And this was the best way that I could stick to my food throughout the day. And I get it, some people don't want to be carrying around a cool bag or ice packs in their bag, because it isn't the coolest of looks, but you always have to kind of flip it on its head. We're not trying to be cool, we're trying to be productive, and we're trying to build physiques, so if you've got like a locker or somewhere where you can store this bag, or nowadays you can get rucksacks which have compartments within it which keep cool. So again, if you look into things like that, that is my best piece of advice when it comes to prepping foods when you've got like a busy 9-to-5 job. In best case scenario, the place that you work or the place that you study has some form of fridge, the way you can keep foods throughout the day. Okay, and obviously Tupperware is going to be a game changer as well. So hopefully that answers your question. Second question, quite broad, but very relative, especially as the weather gets nicer, but balancing your kind of goal with life and socials. So again, it depends how big of a goal that you've got and how big of a priority it is to you during this current time. So for me, for example, I've always been an advocate in the past of, probably that 80-20 rule, where 80% of the time I'm on plan, 20% of the time I will go out for meals on the weekend, maybe the odd night out here and there across the month. But ask yourself the question, how much do I want this goal? How much do I want that end result? And again, going back to a previous video, you shouldn't always see it as like an end result, like we're done, we can finish here, that's it, back to my old habits. But how much do you want to get that result in regards to how much you're willing to sacrifice, how much you're willing to put in? So if you are someone who's like I used to be, 80-20, and I'll put some pictures up here. So this was me, my first photo shoot prep, where it was relatively, first photo shoot prep actually, thinking back, I was probably going out most weekends up until maybe 3 weeks before the shoot. So that's the standard of result I got from doing that. Again, not bad. Most people would take that result. I got lean, I had an okay amount of muscle, wasn't the best, just looked a little bit skinny in my opinion. This middle picture here is 2 years ago when I took it a little bit more seriously. Again, I've always taken it seriously, but in regards to things like socials, I was maybe going out every other week and stopped going out maybe 6 weeks before the shoot. So again, a really good package, but wasn't, completely monk mode. It wasn't a complete bodybuilder back then. And then this is the most recent picture where I have been 100%. Okay, there's obviously, again, even with being 100%, I've still had a wedding, I've still had a stag do, and I've still had Christmas in the mix and Florida. There's all things there that are off plan, so to speak. And all of these have been achieved. Obviously each step, each picture here is definitely, you know, an improvement from the last, which I would hope after, you know, 5 years of doing that. So yeah, I'd always say, how much do you want it? And these are good kind of gauges to go to. Do you want to look like this? Do you want to look like this? Or do you want to look like this? And I think most people would probably sit in the middle, to be fair. You know, just like a good beach body, photo shoot body, I guess, for most people. And that, again, like I say, was achieved with still going out, you know, up until maybe 4 weeks before a photo shoot, and still drinking alcohol. So balancing it so that when you are on plan for that, or even, it doesn't have to be 80-20, maybe 90-10 is probably a better kind of ball mark to aim for. But as long as that 90% of the time you are doing everything ruthlessly consistent, and my favourite saying that, isn't it? Ruthlessly consistent. You can allow yourself for that 10% to have an off-plan meal. And again, like when it's like 90-10, that 10% doesn't need to be so destructive that you're, you know, getting absolutely shit-faced 2 nights on the bounce on the weekends and just eating shit, not doing steps, not getting your gym sessions. That 10% is just like a meal out and maybe a few drinks, okay? Or, you know, 1 big night out per month. That's the 10%. So it definitely can be done. And it's something that I teach my clients to manage to maintain while making progress at the same time. And again, it's very boring nowadays hearing this, but it is just about banking calories for said event, but then also realizing that it does come at a cost. You know, you're probably not going to be as fired up in the next week. It may slow down progress. So going back to the start of this segment, how much do you want that end result? Are you willing to kind of just give it everything for a few months to get that final result and then have a bit more flexibility? Or do you want to kind of go out and have meals, you know, weekly or bi-weekly, and maybe not get as good as a result? Third question, when training upper chest, I never feel it where I'm supposed to. Tips for hitting it. So obviously the upper chest, the upper clavicle, the chest fibers, the pec fibers run obviously horizontal and kind of come inward slightly from kind of shoulder across the chest and then shoulder across the chest here and here. So upper chest specifically is obviously, you know, it's a smaller kind of surface area to be hitting, so it can be a little bit tricky to hit. But I'd always say top tips. Number 1, obviously make sure you are doing some form of kind of feeder sets first, feeder sets or feeler sets, I think either or. Feeder sets first to kind of promote some blood flow into that targeted area before you start working on it. Also exercise selection, like what is it that you are doing to try and target the upper chest, okay? Because a lot of movements such as like a barbell incline press or a Smith machine incline press are great, but obviously anterior deltoid is going to be taken over quite a bit as well. So the biggest and best movement that I've been doing recently in this new split is this exercise here, which is like a cuffed, or you can use a D handles, narrow cable stack, incline press. Okay, so it's kind of like a fly and a press variation, and that has honestly been cooking my upper chest so well. So give that a try as well. And third of all, mind to muscle connection. I know it's very easy to say that nowadays, and what does that even mean? But just try and actually target in your head, where are you trying to focus on? Like a lot of people just push a barbell from A to B and just push forwards and don't really think about anything around the chest area. They just try and think about moving a weight from here to here, and just for some reason that will target your chest. There's still so much more that needs to go into exercises. You know, it's the same as doing like a pull down, a single arm pull down. If you just pull down, you're not really engaging your back, you're just pulling with your arm and your bicep and you're just trying to move it. It's the same with your chest. You need to think about the stretch, and if you haven't seen my recent Instagram video, go back and watch it. The stretching of the fibers and then the shortening of the fibers. And obviously what we're trying to aim to do when we're doing any form of kind of chest press work is to try and drive the bicep and the elbow as far across the chest as you can. So when you're coming into the top position, try and focus on driving your elbows as close together as possible. Like I say, the difference between that and then just pushing forwards is you can see that there's not much of a contraction there, but automatically, as soon as I bring my arm across my chest, I can feel that contracting now, okay? Compared to there, contraction, less of a contraction, if any. So yeah, there's three tips there for you. But yeah, just again, focus on not necessarily pushing just the weight from A to B, but think about the upper fibers of the chest, and obviously making sure you are doing some form of incline work which will specifically hit the upper fibers of the chest. And if you haven't given that exercise a try, I would highly recommend it. Question number 4, again, quite a good, these are just in order by the way, they're no specific topics. But question number 4, what is your ultimate goal in life? Where do you want KGA to be in another 10 years? And I had to really think about this question, because it's always good, and I always tell clients to kind of vision plan and see where you want to be in the next 3, 6, 12 months, but 10 years is a long way away. But I'd say ultimate goal in life, as cringy as it sounds, or maybe not cringy, maybe it's just nice, is to be married, have 2 kids, have a nice house, have nice cars, and just be happy. And obviously be married is with Hannah, of course. And just to have a nice, happy family, and everyone that is around me, friends, family, all to be happy as well. And I know that's probably everyone's goal in life, and it's not like, oh, that's so nice of you. But genuinely, that is my happiness as well. But from a business standpoint, because it is such a big part of my life, I'd also like to firstly see how these shows go in the next couple of months and see where that kind of drives my passion towards coaching. The ideal goal for next year, and I think hopefully got a few guys. I would love to get some guys on stage again, because the buzz that I got off coaching Harry on stage 2 years ago was incredible. And I feel like me doing competitions this year will only drive that passion even further. So I would really like to get more into the bodybuilding, men's physique specifically, of course, coaching scene, because I feel like just the whole build up, the peaking, the show days is just like an incredible feeling. And like obviously the placing that you could potentially get as well adds to it. So definitely that, but basically just continue what I'm doing at the minute, maybe at a slightly higher scale, in regards to kind of numbers of clients, and also to kind of push the one-to-one business with Tom a lot more as well. Like the main objective when I first got into the fitness industry was obviously to help other people, but help a lot of people, not just like a small amount of people. Because I feel like my skills as a coach are good. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you, but they're good, and I feel like there's just so many other people in the world that would benefit from this. But from a one-to-one business perspective, I would like to maybe look at franchising the van. Having a few vans around the country would be pretty cool to say within the next 10 years, which I think is very doable. But as me as an individual, KGA one-to-one aside, KGA online is, I don't think I'd ever bring on an online coach underneath me or like a team of coaches. I want to coach people myself. So I don't think that's something that I would look at doing. I know a lot of coaches do that nowadays, but just to coach more people and potentially in the kind of men's physique side of things as well. And again, after these shows, I'll give you a better answer on this, but just basically do what I'm doing now. I genuinely love the photo shoot prep side of things for guys as well. That's the ultimate buzz, and that's what I want to keep doing for as long as I can. I think, how old will I be? I'll be 37 in 10 years time. So yeah, I think that's realistic to keep doing it by then, and just continue to kind of grow my knowledge and passion. You know, I think I can't see me falling out of love with this anytime soon. And also to travel quite a bit more as well, and have the freedom to do that, because obviously I can do that at the minute with my job, but be in a position where I can do that as and when I want to. So yeah, that's the ultimate goal. Good question. Hard question to answer as well, really, because it's always, 10 years is a long way away, but yeah, I've pretty much summarised it. Next question, do you find your relationship takes a back seat whilst in prep? I think we've answered this on a few vlogs in the past. Yes, in short, but I've got the right person by my side who understands why I'm doing this, and she's very supportive of this as well. I'd say she gets it, she's on board. And it's taken a back seat in regards to we haven't done what we normally would do in regards to things like city breaks, date nights, going out for food weekly, going out for drinks, you know, a few times a month. So yeah, the relationship's taken the back seat, but we still do everything else together. Like, we still sit and watch Netflix at night, we still, you know, do things day to day, which normal couples would do. But she's just been very supportive of why I'm doing this. So I think that makes it a lot easier, and kind of planning things post shows like holidays and stuff is more exciting this time around because we haven't done it for so long. And in a way, it's almost like we're kind of like just looking forward to all these kind of new things again, which I know sounds a bit cringy and weird again, but like, we've not been on holiday for, you know, over 12 months, and actually we went to Florida in November. Take that back, but just an holiday for me and Hannah. We haven't been away for a while, so yeah, it's taken a back seat, but for the right reasons, and she's very supportive of it, to keep it short. How often are you training? I'll keep some of these quite short now. 4 days a week. Push and arms 1, back and hams, rest. Push and arms 2, legs, rest, rest. and then 2 cardio sessions a week. What is your cardio like at the moment? Do you always choose the Stairmaster? Cardio again, 60 minutes per week, divided into 2 30-minute sessions. And yes, I always use the Stairmaster because it's just easy to manage. It's very low fatigue, I don't feel battered after it. I was using padel, as a form of cardio, which if you don't know what padel is, it's like tennis, but squash hybrid with the glass walls where you can bounce it off. But my elbow was taking a bit of a battering and it kind of took away from my training sessions a bit too much. So yeah, that is it for now. Do you have anything planned for after your shows? Do I? Yeah, holidays. Of course, we're going to go away. We've got quite a few gigs this year. We're seeing Oasis, we're seeing Sam Fender, we're seeing Blossoms, we're seeing Busted. Yeah, there's quite a bit planned. Just some nice city breaks and a nice beach holiday as well, 100%. What's your plans after your show? Are you doing more than one? So the first show is the 25th of May, which is in Rugby, UK DFBA. 2 more in June, which is WMBF and PCA Naturals. So there's 3 shows lined up at the minute. I'm going to obviously speak to my coach as well. Potentially could be doing 4, but I think 3 is a nice number for my first season. I don't want to overdo it and be battered and just like fall out of love with it straight away. So I think 3 is a nice number. Do you think you will compete again? Again, I answered this on Instagram the other day, I think. At the minute, yes, I do think I would, but I haven't actually competed yet. So I might actually hate being on stage and posing in front of hundreds of people. I might hate like the build up to it, the day before, the tan, everything about it. I might hate that. I've never done that before, and it's hard for me to answer that question just yet. But if I could answer it now, yeah, but I'm just dieting at the minute. I've dieted, 5, 6, 7 times in my life before. I like dieting, it's not that bad. You look better week by week. It's challenging, but a good amount of challenge. And yeah, I would do it again at this moment in time, but I haven't actually stepped on stage yet. So until I've stepped on stage, I couldn't answer that. But I find it very hard that I wouldn't enjoy it. So yeah, I probably would do it again. Are you nervous about the shows? I was, and I still think I probably will be on the day. I'm just about to step on stage. But as a whole, I am getting a bit more excited as it gets closer towards it. But at the minute, I wouldn't say I'm nervous. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think, like I say, I'm quite an introverted person, believe it or not. Especially like in a big surrounding of people or in public, basically. So yeah, I think I'll be pretty nervous on the day, but I suppose it'll be good nerves and I can use that as fuel, almost. I just want to enjoy it. I don't want to take away anything about it that's going to just make me think, oh, I wish I wasn't as overthinking on the day, or wish I wasn't as nervous on the day. So yeah, not nervous yet, but probably will be closer to the time. Last question from Instagram, and then we're going to move on to the clients. How are you finding the posing? That's what I have found the most difficult to grasp. At the start, I thought, this is going to take a while. As I kind of reflect back and look at videos, it's definitely got better. I still think there's certain things I need to work on, certain elements that just will make it look a bit smoother on stage and on show day, such as like transitions and foot positioning. I believe I'm quite confident with the mandatory poses for the first show, at least anyway. But for when I do my individual routine, I think that just needs a little bit of tweaking in regards to just like foot positioning, just to make it look smoother. I think that's the one thing that I've said from the start, that I don't want to get on stage and just look awkward and like all rushed or just not hitting poses correctly, because I think that massively takes away from all this hard work that I'm putting in now. So I pose every day. It might just be like a quick couple of rounds in the kitchen while I'm waiting for the oats to microwave or whatever, but I need to start having it in my routine, I'd say, a little bit more to get that better. That goes for anything in life, but definitely getting a coach very early on has been a game changer for that, a posing coach specifically. So yeah, that is my best piece of advice if anyone's listening to this who is thinking about men's physique or bodybuilding in general, is don't get a posing coach during prep, get one during the off season, because it'll be a lot easier to pose when you diet down and you start to visibly see muscle coming through a lot easier as body fat drops. So that is all the questions from Instagram. Now we're going to move on to my client questions. The whole purpose and point of a pre and post workout meal, what kind of foods to eat before and after. So the key is in the word, and it's the fuel for the session, or it's the replenishment of nutrients from the session. So and I used to do this myself, if you go and train in the gym for muscle building or muscle retention, and you're not having fuel, being carbs and proteins and some fats, I guess, in some cases, before your session and after your session, it's like basically the best analogy to use is F1, going onto the track. I don't really follow F1, by the way, so bear with me with this. Going onto the track in your car with an empty tank of fuel. Like, how do you expect to perform during that race? It's just not going to happen, is it? You might get through it for a little bit if you've got a tiny bit of fuel in you from the previous night, say, for example, but it's not going to be as optimal than if you were to have a pre-workout meal. And pre-workout meals specifically want to be slow release carbohydrates, so I'd always use any kind of rice-based foods. Oats would be a good one as well. Probably have some fats in there as well, just to kind of slow the digestion process down, so you're feeling a bit fuller for longer in the gym and your nutrients can be partitioned a bit slower within the gym. Equally, some form of protein as a pre-workout as well. So obviously when we're in the gym, we are creating muscle damage, and we want to ideally have a protein synthetic spike prior, potentially even during, and a protein synthetic spike post, because obviously when we damage our muscle fibers within the gym, we want to make sure that we are recovering as quickly as possible. So that will help aid the retention and building new muscle tissue effectively. So pre-workout, I'd always go for oats, rice. If you are on the go, maybe things like Rice Krispie square bars, rice cakes can be a good alternative. Nothing that's going to sit stupidly heavy on the stomach, and obviously you have to find foods that are going to digest well with yourself. It's going to be person dependent. And then obviously post-workout, ideally, because obviously insulin sensitivities can be a lot higher, you're going to be able to partition nutrients a lot quicker, so therefore you want something that's going to be able to be readily available and easy to digest and fastly absorbed into the bloodstream, basically. So I'd always have, ideally, again, rice is a good option, but some form of rice-based cereal. I have Rice Krispies and a protein shake. Protein shake is better because it, again, fast absorbing. You can get their nutrients into the bloodstream a lot quicker and actually utilize them a lot quicker as well. So that is the benefit of a pre and a post-workout meal. You can obviously have intra-workout meals as well, like CarbX, cyclic dextrin, or EAAs, which is for another video again. How to keep going when times get hard? Very deep question, but again, remember what your purpose was when you first started. I think it's very easy to rely on motivation a bit too much, and when things, it depends how dramatic hard is. Like, if it's genuinely like you've had a family crisis or a death in the family, then obviously, probably a bit of time away from the gym for some people might help, or some time away from tracking foods and things like that might be the best thing to do. If it's times get hard when you are back end of a diet and you're hungry and you're maybe a little bit more fatigued, again, remember why you started, and also remember that it's only temporary. And if you push through them hard times, you will reveal something that you've never seen before. Because when them hard times come for the general population, they'll throw the towel in every single time. And this is why not everyone's in shape, okay? And this is why I've got a job at the end of the day, because I'm the person that will allow you to help get through them hard times. And when you feel that you are struggling, or barriers come up and you just feel like you can't break through them, a coach can be massively beneficial for that, because if managed correctly, there's things that you can do to obviously alleviate the harder times, whether it be, diet breaks, deloads, devolumes, but generally for a lot of people, if they can get through them hard times, they will they will reveal something that they've never seen before, whether that be a PB from a marathon perspective, maybe a physique, transformation that they've never achieved before. So it depends what kind of hard you mean, but there's two obviously ways to look at that. How to adapt with training if something comes up on the day and you can't make it to your session. So again, most people are probably going to be doing anywhere between a 3 and a 5 day split. Okay, and albeit you might not be able to get to your gym and do your session on the day that you want, but with 3, 4, 5 sessions per week, you've still got 2 days there where you can reshuffle things around. And it just means you might have to take one of your rest days as a training day. If it's just a one-off and a weekly, occurrence that just popped up for the one time, then it's okay to miss a session. It's not make or break. I wouldn't ever ask a client to be like, well, come on mate, it's only 9 o'clock at night, you can probably still get to the gym, because then that's just going to have adverse effects on things like your sleep. And yeah, it's just a slippery slope from that way. So if you can't make it to the gym, and it's a genuine reason, it's just like too late or the gym's shut, whatever reason, it's fine to miss it. I'm sure you can probably catch up later in the week. Failing that, you'll just get back to it the following week. It's not the end of the world. One gym session doesn't mean you're going to not get the progress that you deserve. It's everything else you do outside of that. So I'd always say just make sure your foods have been hit for that day, make sure your steps have been hit for that day, potentially, and just make sure you get a good night's sleep. There's plenty of things that you can do outside of the gym as well. Next one, how to adapt an off-plan meal with your current schedule of food. Kind of spoke about this at the start. I think it's banking some calories for said meal and just ensuring you're not going wild. You can still have off-plan food. Like I had an off-plan Nando's last week. It just wasn't. I didn't. I had a diet break last week. It didn't mean I went to, Five Guys, Burger King, KFC. I just had one Nando's, Sunset Burger, fries, broccoli. Done. Back to work this week. No regression. Strong in the gym. Still look, if not better than the previous week. It's just about, again, perspective. How much do you want that end result? And of course, you can go out for an off-plan meal every single week if you want, but just be smart about it. There's no way of kind of cheating around, an off-plan meal when you don't have to have an off-plan meal every single week is what I'm trying to say. If you want an off-plan meal, you can have an off-plan meal. I'd say just communicate with your coach and let them take the reins and just allow them to get it into your food plan. Always preempt what you can have as well. It's always good to look at the menu in advance so then you can plan it accordingly for the calories that are going to be coming in extra. That's my one best advice, is pre-plan. Everything that you do is going to come from pre-planning, so yeah. Will one bad meal ruin your progression? No. Gonna keep that one very short and simple. Opinions on the ascendancy of hybrid Hyrox styles of training, and do you think they will become more popular than bodybuilding with time? My personal opinions is I think it's great. There's been many sports over the years, bodybuilding specifically, that have been on the scene for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Why not bring a new sport into the game? It's cool as well. A lot of people slate Hyrox. I mean, maybe I have done a couple of times, to be fair, but I think the idea of it is cool. It's it's strength, it's conditioning, it's cardio all in one, and it does look cool. I can see why people are so attracted to it, because they sell it quite well and the marketing is quite good. But one of my biggest concerns with it is people get into it for the wrong reasons. If you type in Hyrox on Google right now, every single person that you see doing it will look jacked. And when I think of Hyrox, I think of Ollie Marchon, this guy. And you think, wow, if he does Hyrox or trains like a Hyrox athlete, I'm gonna look like one too. And it's simply not the case. If you look at all of these Hyrox athletes and their backgrounds, I can promise you now that they've all come from some form of bodybuilding background, or at least done weight training for X amount of years. So yeah, kind of going off topic there with the question, but I do believe it will continue to grow, but I think a lot of people get into it for the wrong reasons. But at the same time, people also really enjoy it. And I think it's quite a big accomplishment to tick off as well. It's good that it motivates people because they can push with PBs with their times and stuff. I also think that it's good that a lot of people can do it. You see so many different ages and sexes, and everyone does it, which is fantastic to see. And I think the thing that I do like about it is it's not like bodybuilding's a lot of how you look and genetics, but anyone can do this. And I think it's a good sport. I'm not going to knock it. I think, like I said, people that do it massively shout about it, and it's like, oh, Hyrox this, Hyrox that. They get the glasses, they get the sweatbands, they get the what's it called, represent vest, which I've got as well, funnily enough. But I don't think it'll ever be bigger than bodybuilding or more popular than bodybuilding. Never. Bodybuilding's huge, like worldwide. I don't think Hyrox is that big yet. I know they do it in Spain and somewhere else. I don't think they do it in America, do they? But yeah, I don't think it'll be bigger than bodybuilding ever. I do like it. Will I ever do it? Possibly not. I don't think so. It just looks tough, man. Always find, oh, here we go. What are the pros and cons of natty versus assisted? I feel like this is a whole separate video, and it's bit too big of an answer to just cram it into this. I'm going to answer that on a separate video. Would you ever incorporate kettlebell training within your systems? No, sorry mate, probably not, purely on the basis that I don't have enough experience with kettlebells. And if you're in regards to my clients, what we have been doing for the past X amount of years works well. So I probably wouldn't incorporate kettlebells, unless it's you, because I know you can do kettlebells well. And then the last question, advice on testosterone support and supplements would be handy. So supplements wise, there's a video that you can watch for that's in the group chat. But in regards to testosterone support and things like TRT, I believe that it's massively beneficial, and a lot of people think it as gear. You know, you have to go to the gym and train, and you're associated with a bodybuilder, but testosterone is produced naturally by the body anyway. And if you are a male specifically, and you have signs of, or you've actually had your bloods done and have signs of low testosterone, especially as you kind of approach, you know, mid to late 30s into your 40s, into your 50s, I would say that get a test 100% and see what your testosterone levels are actually like. If they're low, I wouldn't say jump to TRT or jump to testosterone straight away. I'd say, okay, let's have a look at things like your diet. Let's have a look at things like your sleep, your stress management. And if you're in a deficit and have been in a deficit for some time, then obviously testosterone is going to be lower as it is. So I'd always look at natural remedies first. So sleep, stress management, nutrition, are you getting enough fats in, etc. If you're doing all of that and testosterone levels are still on the lower side, then by all means I'd say, you know, get your bloods done and get in contact with someone or companies that do provide things like TRT and testosterone. Because it's not just about muscle building, it's generally about your mental state, your regularity of other hormones, it's about your function of your body, your, everything. The hormones are very important for a multitude of reasons. It's not just muscle building or looking good. So I would 100% be an advocate for it. And if my testosterone levels were on the lower side and I was still living the lifestyle that I am now, in my kind of later 30s, then I would probably do it as well. Because I know a few guys that do and have and continue to do so, and they feel on top of the world after having on lower testosterone to higher testosterone levels. So I think it's important to remember that it's not just bodybuilders and gearheads that use it. People use it generally to make themselves feel better and be a more functioning human, or Homo sapien I should say. So yeah, I think obviously look at all the other variables like I mentioned first, and then if you are still concerned that they might be on the lower side, get your bloods done. If they point you in the right direction, they point you in the right direction. I can't actually give you any, obviously Medichecks is where I'd get my bloods done first, but there are supplementation companies that will help. That is everything. Thank you for watching this very different style of Q&A. It's quite lengthy, 30 minutes nearly. If you have any further questions in the comments, please let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.